How are we all doing? It's a Friday already. I've been saying this every week recently, but time is flying by. It is going right quick. I hope you're all doing well. Weather's been nice, as in not too warm, which is always good. It's been a pleasant temperature to get out and about with, I've found. How's everyone's week's been? Just make sure that is actually running. Obviously, I had to tweak some settings between here and Saffron, but it seems to be up and working. Evening, Martin. How you doing? Stressful week, Plucky? How you doing? What was stressful about it? Evening, Boris? Yeah, I have got your list in there, Dave. I read the top of it and I went, you motherfucker. Like, how dare you convince me that Seaguard maybe has some level of legs to it, and then go, I'm just going to play Frenzied Orcs. Ridiculous. Big Team Cream, morning or evening from my perspective. Good to see you, Dan. If you're here and you haven't already, please do give the stream a thumbs up. Helps get picked up by the algorithm. Painting the last models for a tournament tomorrow. What a combo. Nice! Man after my own heart. I also typically paint like for an event. I'm in a weird holding pattern. I was thinking about doing some vampire counts as something to do. And I'd love to do some ogres as well, but then, we've had rumors. We've had rumors that we're going to be getting an FAQ this month, which I hope is true. So we'll see. But I kind of want to just not do too much between now and then. That's the thinking. I'm really keen to see the new Beastman Warriors of Chaos Arcane Journal. I've got a load of unpainted Warriors of Chaos that I could do with digging out and getting built and painted. I've got most of a battalion that I bought and then didn't do much with outside of using the chariots for something. Or maybe just one of the chariots. I might still have a second chariot in there. Obviously, the rumor is that there's going to be new models for them. I have big nostalgia for the old models there, so I'm not upset at all to just be using those ones instead of, anything a little bit newer. Big contract at your jobby job next week. Oh, good luck. And the BMC. BMC, is that a gaming venue? BMC. Got your first tournament coming up, Martin. Very nice. Got to get your 5 Eternal Guard painted up because you legally have to bring them. Very nice. Picked up a big Tomb King collection. Just in time for everything to change. Hell yeah. Also in time for, theoretically, maybe, possibly, we'll see new skeletons. Probably not the Tomb Guard, but I'd assume, skeleton horsemen, skeleton horse archers, and warriors. Prime suspects for getting new stuff. You have an Echo. Oh, no, scratch that. Okay. I was going to say, I don't know how you could have an Echo. I've only got one thing plugged in. Just make sure there isn't anything that could possibly cause issues. No. All good. Yeah, I saw that. Chaos Warriors and Knights gone from the store. That's fun. That is fun. Morning from New Zealand. Hey, Hayden. Hope you're doing well. I always forget. Australia, are you ahead or behind? Is it your Saturday morning? Old Skellies, best Skellies. I was surprised at how not terrible I thought they were. I think they are not done favors by the Games Workshop painting style. I think if you go for something a little bit more dry brushy, it doesn't pick up how absurd some of the details are a little better. Bad Moon Cafe. Yeah, there we go. The echo was you had it playing in Discord as well. Very fair, very fair. Plus 10 hours. So it's Saturday morning for you now. Perfect. Nice. I was going to say I'd love it to be Saturday morning, but I'm working Saturday morning. The joys of being self-employed. I shouldn't complain. I've had it's not a long day. I think I'm working about 7 hours a day, but I started at 3 in the afternoon, so just got some bits and pieces done this morning, which was always nice. 2 viewers, do you love me now? This is something that I've vaguely looked into, and I don't know if this is correct. It says the stream health is poor. Why are you messing around? I did tweak some details after Saffron, because I had to turn all of my settings down for Saffron. Let me just double check if the keyframe is something that I can change without. Doesn't seem to be. Well, we'll just have to see if it's going to work. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. We'll find out though. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, something that I looked into when I was getting started was how how YouTube registers views and stuff like that. And I think it's something to do with the network you're on, to try and cut down on botting and all of those fun details, which makes a lot of sense. Back in the day when I was getting started, after I uploaded a video, I used to, because it's not about necessarily the views. Well, people watching is important, but it's how long people watch for, and whether they interact, like leaving thumbs up and comments. When I was getting started, I'd play it back on my on a different YouTube account, because I've got one to upload stuff on and one that I just watch stuff on personally, which had the unintended consequence of just hammering me with my own videos. Which I only did this for the first sort of like six weeks or something like that, but it rapidly became obvious that it was a terrible idea. All right. I think we should talk some Warhammer. We're in a weird holding period, I think, right now. I'm really keen to see what happens with lists coming up, but in the interim, we've got some interesting stuff to work around with. So, tell you what, I'm going to start with Dave's list because I saw you in chat pretty recently. So. Ultimate Funk. And this is a note that Dave put in, not me. The note is, Dave should know better. Comedy Savage Orc nonsense. Let's have a look at this. As always, I typically don't look at the lists when I'm putting them in. I try to, well, more just about the amount of time that it takes me to filter through, so I don't bother examining them at the time. So let's go through. I'm not really sure what I want to look for. All Orc is Comedy Orc. It might well be. First thing I'm going to say is these 2 units here probably want to be bigger than 10 models, because the second you take a single casualty, you're going to lose some scoring. So I'm going to go to at least 12 on each of these, and we'll go from there. Got a Frenzied Chariot with Warpaint. I'm not unimpressed with these. Amy has convinced me that the cheap chariots with Frenzy, although you've paid for Frenzy twice, you don't have to do that. The cheap chariots with Frenzy are not terrible. I'll save you some 4 points there as well. Interesting that you've got 2 that are Frenzy and 1 that isn't. I feel like... Oh, it's 0 to 1 per 1,000 points, isn't it? Yeah, that's why. Okay. I will say I hate Frenzied Boar Boys. They're so easy to bait. But if I was going to do it, this is not the way that I would do it. I'd probably go for the Frenzy Banner, make them big uns, and give them armor as well, so they've got some durability on there. I know you've given them Warpaint, but I think just the 3-up save is probably better. In fact, when I say probably, it's definitely better. All right, let's look at the rest, though. So you've got a Frenzied Wizard, classic. I will not be putting Bone-Grinded Giants into lists. Amy tried to convince me to run one at a tournament, to the point of even, like, offering to paint it for me. And if that's not going to convince me, then... yeah, it's hard to say. Hey, Remy, hope you're doing well. Mr. Warhammer time. I'm not sure that I'm one that wants to give myself an all-encompassing Warhammer nickname, but appreciate that. Idol of Gork. Yeah, for some reason my brain turned off and I couldn't remember if Gork or Mork was the casting value. So you're going for the extra range, the glowy green amulet for the spells, the dispelling, and a power scroll with war magic. What's the purpose? You just going double war magic? No, one's battle magic. I mean, you're probably getting the spells off. You're rolling the spells, so you got a 2 in 3 chance of getting the ward save. You're just going everything into the Death Star, right? Should probably be lore familiar. Yeah, I think, given that you're already getting the +1 to cast for being in a big unit, I would change it over to lore familiar. I also don't know that you need power scrolls, but I guess I'm not opposed to a power scroll if you think it's valuable. There we go. I don't know why you've gone for headbutting hat. I think we can shave some points there. I'm not convinced that A, you'll be charging, or B, the headbutting hat is going to do a lot of value. You've gone heavy on the headbutting hats. What's up with that? Are you convinced that infantry are suddenly going to be able to charge? Okay. So you've gone for War Banner. Additional hand weapon. Dave, what are you doing? Oh no, baby. What is you doing? You know as well as me that this is not good. We'll go great weapon. Always great weapon. So this is just a general note for anyone who's curious about which weapons are better in terms of number of attacks. The maths on additional hand weapon, I haven't done the maths, but the only time it might end up being better is realistically going to be if you're going from 1 attack to 2 with the additional hand weapon, and then you've also got some sort of additional benefit on there, like the AP1 from the choppers. Obviously, there are some targets where the hand weapons, like if you're going into swarms with no armor save and T2, then yes, the additional hand weapons might end up being better, but into the general field of just more is better, the great weapons are better. On top of that, if you're going for something that gives you extra attacks like Frenzy, you're getting more effect, like you're getting more benefit if the base weapon is better, because the bonus of the additional hand weapon being +1 attack, but also bad attacks, is diluted by the pool of attacks. Additional attacks are worse the more attacks you have. So theoretically, this, if you charge, which, haha, Lamau, you theoretically have 5 attacks with a great weapon, or you have 6 attacks with 2 hand weapons. So just go for the great weapon here. War Banner, and here we go for slightly more charge likelihood. That is true. That is true. Hopium that infantry get countercharge. I'd love to just see Swift Stride nerfed. Make it so that like the maximum that you can charge is much smaller. And maybe Swift Stride just like there's people have talked about. Maybe there's definitely a video in talking about changes I'd like to see, which I'll probably do next week or the week after, something like that. But Swift Stride, I think, is one of the biggest offenders. This is one of Rob's opinions that I've definitely come round to trusting and believing. When I was playing loads of dragons before 1.5, I was like, man, Swift Stride get great. I love playing with Swift Stride. And now I'm just like, quite like to play with a bit more infantry. Take Swift Stride off anything that isn't like Cav or Light Flyers. I think it needs more than that. I think it needs a rules change. But yes, that would be a good way of tweaking it, and it would give Wild Riders like an actual place in the meta, where like not only do they hit like heavy cavalry or harder, they also go faster. So they're worth bringing. Anyway, Colorless Augur for -1 weapon skill for the dragons, right? Yep. Banner of Butchery for +1 strength. Here I don't mind the additional hand weapons, because this is about volume, and they don't have better weapons. So the additional hand weapons feel pretty decent. But I honestly think you can't take the armor, can you? When yeah, it's one of the two. I almost would rather have the shields, because you're already with Biggins, your strength 4. Banner of Butchery, it's only on the charge you get the +1 strength. I don't think this is worth doing. I think you just go Monster Hunter Tapestry. And stop putting headbutting hats in everywhere. I don't think that's the answer. I really don't think that's the answer that you're looking for. Okay, so we've got the heavy armor, shield, third crew member, trollhead trousers, enchanted shield. I'm generally a charm shield believer over an enchanted shield, but honestly, 6 wounds on a chariot with a 5-up regen, I think this is a place that's okay to have the enchanted shield. Although, actually, no. Oh, stop giving... Dave! Pay attention when you write lists. I swear you put things in just to try and trip me up. There's the charm shield. I think because you can't use it in combat, and it's non-magical, you're probably just catching one cannonball on it. That feels more likely to me. Ignore me, more headbutton hats. Yeah, that might be the way to go. We'll tweak the rest of the list and see if I change my mind on it. So let's assume that you'd love to get the charge, but you don't know if you will. So actually, this is gonna be a level 3 wizard, and this is gonna be the level 4 because you're going for lore familiar on the level 3 wizard. So level 4, you're gonna get more wild magic spells. I don't even know if you need the Colorous Ogre. Like, I don't think that helps you. Realistically, I don't think it does anything at all for making you happy. Okay, so your big boss is going to die. Your big boss is definitely going to die. I need to be generally in terms of like we all need to check rules. We know that the game is a poorly optimized mess. Yada yada yada. We don't need to double down on that too heavily, but if there's a list building thing that I'm not sure on, you can take that as a premise that maybe it's bad if I don't remember how it works. With the amount of lists I'm building, if I don't remember how something works and I have to check it, there's a good chance that maybe it's just kind of bad. Not that I'm throwing shade at your full frenzied orc list, Dave. I'd never dare. All right. I was looking at characters. That's what I was looking for. Orc bosses. So... may have heavy armor or frenzy. Okay, so you can still buy armor. That's good. That's good, because we need to do that. We absolutely need to do that, because this is your battle standard bearer, and we can't be having the BSB just dying. Getting a 6-up ward on them is not terrible. Let's go with... normally you'd go Trollhide Trousers, but it kind of feels bad that you'd only have a 5-up save. 5-up save, 6-up 6-up ward. It's the BSB, though. All right, we're doing it. We go in Trollhead Trousers. And then with the light armor that you come equipped with for free, and you don't lose that for going for Frenzy, plus the Trollhide Trousers, plus the shield and hand weapon shield, you're getting to a 3-up save if you need to tank. It's fine. The only thing I'm interested in is the block. Everything else is just fluffy around. Nice. I don't know if I'm going to trust the words of a goblin spelunker on selling Ed Button hats for an orc list. I feel like there might be some sort of underhand scheming going on. Are you related to the big boss in charge of the war by any chance? That's the vibes I'm getting. Okay, so I love a chariot. The more I play. And I think they're limited, and I think they don't necessarily play super well into the meta still. But the more I play, the more I love a character on a chariot with layered saves. I'm a huge fan. You probably don't want to make this one frenzied. I want to make this one frenzied, but I'm not going to do it. Yeah, let's just make sure... Oh, you've got a shield on there already. Cool. It's a great deal. Trust you. Okay. I've just seen. So, you were saying you were liking the theory of mad impact hits coming out of it. The problem is, you've only got a 2 in 3 chance of getting the spell. So realistically, your charge range is not... Like, you're probably just not getting the charge. Even with all of the other shenanigans, you probably shouldn't get the charge most of the time. Okay. So you've got a huge number of orcs. Monster into Tapestry. Yeah, like I said, I actually think I want the hand weapon shields, but I think this is fine. Let's give them the shields to give them a little bit of protection against shooting. No, it's a 6-up save. That's not worth. Not worth at all. Big Stappers is impact hits, right? 5 points for D3 impact hits is not bad, but remember that it's your unmodified strength, so you're making them at strength 3. So that's not particularly exciting. But it's still, I'd pay 5 points for that. banner of Swirling Wind for BSB. I think that even though I'm saying that he's not going to make the charge, I think the Wild Banner is still very valuable in terms of making the charge. It gives you the additional range here. And he's got a wizard that's going to provide a ward save, and he can Arcane Urgency, so he can get it up the board. Ish. I think this Chariot goes away. And I think... Let's just say full faith. Full faith in the YOLO, let's go, full damage. The Banner of the Nomads is fine, but just not really worth doing, because you've got Warband already, so you don't need to mess around with those rerolls. I would say, let's go for, if you just want to go full violence, Shields, Warpaint, Frenzy, let's go 5, duplicate. This unit's going to have the banner that is the Spider Banner, because poison attacks is really good when you've got a million attacks, or I say, poison is as good as it gets when you've got a million attacks. And then we've got the Banner of Butchery for +1 strength, and that gets you to strength 5 on the charge, which is pretty okay. I wouldn't mind giving this unit Biggins as well. So both the strength 5, but one of them has +1 to wound. I think that works out pretty nicely. And then, what I'd love to do is go Big Boss. Let's go Big Boss, Great Weapon, Frenzy, and just put loads of attacks in. I'm not even going to pay for a Charm Shield. You're there for violence, and that is what you're doing. And then we're going to go 1 unit of 5, 1 unit of 6, and the unit with the Spider Banner is going to be the unit of 6. No, we'll go the other way around. The Banner of Butchery is going to be the unit 6, and then the Spider Banner is the one that you join the unit to. And then we need to shave 35 points, which is good because we've got 37 points here. YOLO Savage Death Star, really good, 8th edition vibes. It's just a shame that it will be terrible in this edition, but that is not important to Dave, and that's okay. We need to shave 5 points somewhere. Oh, that's going to be a pain. So we're going to go down to 33, then we're going to go up to 13. Unlucky for some. Yeah, I think it gets you. You know what? This is like your student who spends all year doodling comics, and then they submit one piece of work that you're like, actually, Dave, I think you're onto something here. And then next week, they submit another comic strip doodle. And you're like, for fuck's sake. You had me going. You sly dog. You had me monologuing. So, yeah, I want to see more thoughts like the Seaguard teams list, because that is interesting. But yeah, this is the full violence that I'd go with. You could always improve this list. I'm sure there is a lot of tweaking that you could go with, but for the sake of, I think this is about as good as it needs to be. I'm assuming this is a list for fun as opposed to be like necessarily a tournament list. So for anyone who is maybe a little concerned about the dismissive way I'm talking about Dave's list, Dave is someone that I've met in person, and we've had multiple conversations. I feel like in tone with how our conversations go in person. This is not a normal. Don't worry about your list being slated this way if you submit one, just to be clear. In your defense, you also have a Seaguard list that's been entered after last week, and I think Dave, you can DM that to me. It will take me at least 4 days to get round to it, but you're welcome to send it to me, and I will have a look, and I will get back to you, because I think there is something there. I'm not going to, we're not going to take it to Spain, but I think it's interesting. Okay. Cool. So, we've started off with some full send violence. I think we should go for the opposite vibe here. There are 3 Orcs and Goblins lists this weekend. Amy submitted a list. It's not Orcs and Goblins, but never mind. There are 3 Orcs and Goblins lists in general. You should carry on with the actual show now. Yeah, I guess so. You know what? Cheese90 submitted a list. Seaguard Garrison, and it's semi-competitive. Let's have a look here. I think I'm immediately seeing things that I like in terms of how I've been thinking about Seaguard Garrison for the last week or so. It's only been a week, man. So, we've got the big unit of Lothan Seaguard. We've got a couple of units of Shadow Warriors, which keeps the drops low because they have ambush, and also they're able to come in the back line, do baggage train, score domination, harass enemy units that are, light units that are holding off objectives. I think they're okay at that. I think they're unbelievably pricey for that job, but it's coming out of core, and you have to spend 660 points. So I don't really have any complaints there in terms of that. Charm Shield is solid. Is there anyone going in the squad? Probably the Wizard. I'd like some magic resist on there. And Banner of Confidence is you ignore the -1 to stand and shoot. I think as good as that is in terms of like just generically it makes your stand and shoot better, the stand and shoot's going to be kind of mediocre. Even with their cute rule, the naval discipline, where they can start wider and then they stand and shoot and they go narrower and they get to fight in ranks. It's not enough in my mind to make their stand and shoot good. It kind of just makes their stand and shoot like maybe relevant as opposed to good. And I think with the -1 to shoot, it's still relatively relevant. You're going to go from doing like 3 wounds in stand and shoot to maybe 2 wounds, and that I think is going to just have to be fine. Monster Hunter Tapestry really hits things that are good in the meta right now. And also you definitely want some magic resist on there, in my mind. So we're just going to drop the numbers a little bit to make sure that we're not going over. 660. Woo! That feels good. Okay, then we've got Double Eagle and Triple Skycutter. How many can be ambushes? I would make 2 of them ambushes. You don't have to put them in ambush, but I think it's worth doing. We'll see if we can find the points for it. We might have to not. But this list would like to have the flexibility to put down lots of units or have them come on from reserve. So right now we're at 5 drops with Skycutter, Double Eagle, Seaguard, and then characters, which is pretty low. In terms of other pieces here, and we're 18 points over, so we're going to have to find some points to drop. Elementalism, Stormweavers. Stormweavers are so sad. They don't get the blessing of Blessing of Lilith. I can't remember the name of the high elf one. Blessing of Lilith's blessing. There we go. The reroll the casting roll. I didn't realize how good this was until I saw someone do maths. Shout out to Team Netherlands, because there's a load of them that love maths, or at least a couple. And with the reroll, you end up being more likely to cast a high-value spell than a low-value spell, assuming that your opponent has a Dispel threat in range. And this is only, of course, for the spell that matters, which is going to be usually is going to be the... Oh, you're leaning on Earthen Ramparts to turn off stomps. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. We'll put Banner of Confidence back on then. All right, we'll leave that for now. Sorry, I think hopefully that didn't sound too weird. I just worked things out mid conversation and then forgot where I was basically. Okay, so we'll keep the Shadow Warriors, keep the Seaguard, yada yada. Honestly, maybe just go. I don't really want to tweak them too much here. 0 to 1 per army, and you paid for the other one. The penny dropped. Indeed. All right, Stormweaver. I don't think it's a good plan, to be clear, because you have no reroll and you're trying to play around with a casting value 9 spell. Like, it's just not going to happen on a key turn, and then you're going to lose the unit. But if we're building into the plan, we're building into the plan. And then we've got Triple Griffin. So we have got Armor of Kalador, Seed of Rebirth. So triple save on a Griffin with a Cav Spear and a shield. That's fine. Then you've got a Noble with Great Weapon, Full Plate Shield, Griffin, Seed of Rebirth. That shield should at least be a Charm Shield. Like so. Getting at least, like, catching the Cannonball once is worth doing. Oh, that one's got a Talisman Protection. Okay, yeah, you definitely want the Charm Shield on the other one, then. Okay, and then we've got 49 points available here, but we're 29 points over. I think we're going to have to drop... I think I'd rather drop an Eagle than drop the ambush on the Skycutters. I think you're going to get more out of the ability, but then you do want 2 of them. Morning, Anthony. Is there anything that we can drop that is surplus to requirements? I don't think there is. I think this is about as cheapy as you can make these characters without feeling bad about it. Speaking of feeling bad, I actually wouldn't be opposed to giving the garrison commander a magic weapon, because a cav spear is so sad. Like a sword of might, I think, would be entirely fine. 3 attacks at strength 5 AP1, 4 attacks at strength 5 AP2. It also removes some of the general worry that I have about them dealing with ethereal. Although, I mean, I guess we're not, you know, are we really worrying about ethereal with this list? This noble could go... I would love to put the hammer hand on here, but I think that's probably too many points to spend. So it probably literally just goes back up to 30 on the Lothan Seaguard, and then that's the list. And I think that makes sense to me. And it's also down to 4 drops, which is real low. So yeah, that'll be where I'm at with that one, at least. How's the stream quality looking? It keeps giving me warnings because I need to tweak my keyframe speed ratio, whatever it's called. But I can't do it because I'm live. And YouTube isn't good at going, you know, stopping being live and then going back to being live. Just make sure that I can't tweak. No. I got it on auto, so it should do it itself. Stream's been solid here. Okay, cool. How married is this through elementalism, spying a lot of terror-causing stuff, and Stormweaver could go dark and debuff leadership. The problem with dark magic debuffing leadership is it's not actually very good at it. So you've got Word of Pain, which is... It's not Word of Pain, it's... My brain's just turned off. Wait, it doesn't debuff leadership at all. What are you talking about? Are you thinking of demonology? What am I thinking of? Yeah, there we go. There we go. There is a spot. I was like, wait, hold on a second. Am I losing my mind? The problem with Gathering Darkness for demonology is it's unfortunately a bad spell. It's a hex with a 12-inch range, and you know, the debuff is good, but if you then compare it to the necromancy version, which is much more easy to get off with an army that wants to be closer, it's hard to get value out of. Okay. Okie dokie. How much clearer do you want us to see 1080p? I don't know if anyone noticed. Hopefully the stream quality was good before, but I realized that I should probably get in the 21st century, and I've upped the quality that I'm rendering at, which meant that when I was rendering the video that I put out on Wednesday, because that's the first one that I've upscaled the quality on. The reason I didn't do it before is just because it's an additional cost, honestly, in terms of, like, I was using a free editing software and now I've got to pay. But yeah, the one I put up on Wednesday went from being what should have been about a 35-minute render to a 3-hour render. So yeah, I'm going to have to be much more on the ball in terms of getting stuff recorded earlier in the morning, which is going to maybe mess up my upload schedule a little bit sometimes, but, you know, how well has that been stuck to anyway? All right, let's go with, we've had Orcs, we've had Seaguard, let's go with something a little bit interesting. We've got lots of Orcs, lots of Wood Elves, and by that I mean 2 Wood Elves. Let's have a look at Chaos Black's list, which is a Wild Hunt here. Trying to build a non-dragon Wild Hunt list, not looking to add any birds in due to the modelling theme. Happy for you to do as you want, though. Which makes me go, what the hell's the modelling theme? The modelling theme is no birds. It's I don't know. It sounds almost like a almost Always Sunny in Philadelphia plotline. Anyway, I see Orion immediately, and I think that's almost 500 points that you could get a lot more value out of. But if you want to run him, then you can do so. It's just so sad for the points. Like, I wonder. I'd have to. In fact, let's look at Orion again. It's been a hot minute since I've feasted my eyes on Orion's rules. So let's have another look at how he presents. What do you get? So stat line is relatively fast with no swift stride, right? No swift stride, so 9-inch move, no swift stride, so a 15-inch declarable charge. Weapon skill's good. Ballistic skill's decent, but he does have ranged weapons. Strength and toughness 5 with 5 wounds for an elf is pretty solid. 5 attacks, 8 initiative, 10. So he's already sort of positioned at like a dragon mage or griffin stat line. In terms of defense, immune psychology plus frenzy, which is a funny combination. Sure, I guess that's more just a translation of frenzy no longer giving like direct immune psychology. I know it did in previous editions. MR2 is nice because you're pretty vulnerable to magical attacks. Storm attacks D3+2, but you've got no AP on them. Strikes first, terror, unbreakable. Wait, fear and terror? You don't normally see fear and terror on the same stat line, right? It just normally gives you one of them. Am I going crazy? Am I going loco? Is that just some sort of weird... Manticore just causes terror. Dragon just causes terror. No. Fear and terror. How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre. Do 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 do. I am going crazy, but also yes. Alright, cool. I wonder if it was just to clarify how the fear interaction works for the unit strength with the Hounds of Orion plus Orion. It would work that way anyway, but I wonder if it was an attempt to make it more readable. You know, rules don't have to be like the most... you know, doubling down if it makes it more understandable for viewers, readers, players, gamers, all of those. Anyway, can only be wounded by magical attacks. And then I need to remind myself what he's equipped with. So he's got a 5-up ward and has a 1 in 3 chance to regain a single wound once per turn. Really pushing the boat out here. In terms of green characters coming out of the wood, Orion has been fucked over. Would you rather have Orion for 455 points or the Green Knight for 275? If you made them both the same points cost, I would still take the Green Knight over Orion. Anyway, Horn of the Wild Hunt. Friendly units in command range gain frenzy. He's not a large target, is he? No, fortunately. So a 12-inch bubble, assuming it's the general. Become frenzy, can become refrenzied. Has the Hawk's Talon and the Spear of Kurnos, which is... Okay, so multiple shots or multiple wounds. And then you've got the bad Ogre Blade in combat. Oh, and it's a bolt thrower. Okay. I mean, I don't love him, but he's what we're working with. He's what we're working with. More keywords, more gooder. That is correct. Would also ridiculously overpriced. You're goddamn right there. How are we feeling about the rumor that they're going to be in a starter box set with Tomb Kings? Like, I trust the source, but that's so bizarre to me. So truly weird. Double Wild Riders, Glade Riders, more Wild Riders, Deepwood Scouts, Deepwood Scouts. Okay, you've just gone full violence, and I respect that. So, Glade Lord has Great Weapon, has a Great Stag, Bedazzling Helm, Charmed Shield, and an Annoyance of Netling. So this is your challenge model with Aspect to the Bear. That makes sense. You're kind of lacking on the ward save front. I would not be opposed. Oh, okay, we can't fit it in. I'd love to give it a proper ward save, but Orion... I'm trying to fit the Talisman of Protection in my list, but the clap of Orion's points is too juicy and too thick, and it won't fit. God damn. God damn. Dark Elves and Lizardmen, please. We know that's not happening. If they were bringing a faction back, they would bring them back one at a time. For maximum value for the shareholders. for long-term sustainable growth. Okay, so we've got Helm of the Hunt, Charm Shield. Okay. So the stags can't join the units, so they're just running around solo, which does worry me a little bit, but honestly not that much. They're T5, they've got 2-up saves, they've got a single ward save. I'd love a proper ward save or an Icon of Fortitude on there, or for them to be able to join the Wild Riders without disrupting their countercharge, but I guess you're not too worried about that, right? Because in a list where you need the countercharge, you just don't put them in, and then in general play, you put them in, and you kind of say whatever. I'm debating whether or not to get Glade Riders. Are they good? Yeah, Glade Riders, in my mind, are one of the best things in Wood Elves. Just the reserve move shooting is very solid. I'd always put a Musician in them. The Musician is very good because this is a unit that is liable to run away because you choose to flee. So you want to have that available. Arcane Bodkin's reserve move, Banner of Springtide, which gives you the quick shot special rule, is very good. And then a second unit with True Flight Arrows is good as well, but depends on your points. I think... I'm not sold on the value of these 2 units of Deepwood Scouts. I'm not sure their shooting is going to be good enough, and they're not going to score. This is like seeing 2 units of Sisters of Avalon, but Sisters of Avalon are really good. These are Strength 3 AP 2. Sisters are Strength 3 AP 1, Armor Bane 2, but the Sisters also have magical shooting and unit champions that can bring magical bows, which I think goes a long way to making them worthwhile. You know, you might go Sword of Sorrows and Ruby Ring of Ruin if you want to keep it cheap, for example. So I think we can lose Deepwood Scouts and then theoretically lose 1 model with the Wild Riders. You obviously, as soon as you start losing models, you lose value here. So let's go with giving them all an Obsidian Lodestone, because the thing that worries me the most with them, you can screen them. You can put stuff in front of them. Like if they need to make it to combat, you can just be like, I'm going to put the Glade Riders in front of them and give them cover. What you can't do is protect them from magic missiles. So MR1 there is good, especially because you don't have any wizards. This is a faction that is crying out for like a brazen collar, or whatever the Empire one's called, the Witch Hunter's Ward. But MR1 will have to do. And then I think I'd go for a second unit of Glade Riders, because they are going to have some shooting, not as much shooting, because we're going to go with the True Flight Arrows, but they're also a scoring unit. So, like, these 2 units score, these 2 units pressure, this unit also pressures, this unit, like, having 1 unit plinking away is fine. I'm not sold on the value of them too much, but also, what are we going to do? Put in some birds? No, thank you. That's not the theme. So yeah, this is my tweaked version here. Hopefully, it lines up with what you're hoping to do there, Mr. Chaos Black. Mr. Chaos Black. All right. Okie dokie. So, I don't want to go back to Nomadic War yet. Or Orcs and Goblins yet. Let's go for one more list that isn't Orcs and Goblins first, and then we'll come back. Let's go with... I saw Dan in chat. Dan's Wargaming. Are you still here, Dan? If you are, we're going to look at your list. And if you're not here, we're going to look at it anyway. I know I've just said we're not doing Nomadic War, but I've just said a name, so there we go. Do your chaos. All right, we'll come back to Dan's list because Mr. Assyrian's here. I always forget because your name is different on Discord and YouTube, but it is Wrath, isn't it, Mr. Assyrian? Let's scroll up and have a look at the context. Hey, perfect. We'll get to yours after this one because Wrath has got in there a little beforehand. But also, I did say I didn't want to do... I said specifically I didn't want to do Orcs and Goblins yet. No, sorry. No rush. It was more that he was fast, not that you were slow. You don't know how to change it. I'm old. Yeah, that's... YouTube does YouTube things. I've been trying to get it linked to my Discord for like a year and a half, and every time I try, it makes me want to quit a run in a video game. There's the... Realised I had to censor myself there. Anyway, Wrath. Makes my list. We'll run a triple dragon list, but core is flexible. 2,000 points renegade pack and square-based comp. You have all models willing to drop the dragon ogres if you think. Also have a GCS Great Chaos Spawn if you think that's an option as well as the WFD Warpfire Dragon. So good. I'm so good at acronyms. You've run multiple versions. I wonder if, given the current state of the meta, what you think the most efficient core is for triple dragon. You normally play heralds, but you're willing to go Grand Army unless you can suggest a Herald's Core that's better. Do not want to play Wolves of the Sea. That's super fair. You got your Archon Dragon, a lovely old school Metal Egrim, fully painted Mind Dragons. I don't know the Egrim. Is that a Egrim von Horseman? Ooh, okay. Oh, that's fancy. I like that. That is old school. I don't even remember that. And I started playing in around the year 2000. This looks like late 80s, early 90s to me. See if it says any details here. This is incredibly not important, but also the most important thing in my life. Let's have a look here. 5th edition. So 5th edition was 96, I think. Fifth edition. 90. Nailed it. Nailed it. Never even played 5th edition. Started in 6th. Anyway, let's get back on track. The only ever actual Chaos Dragon with a rider. Oh, okay. He did serial. I mean, age is relative, right? Okay, so this is I'm a big believer in you double down on the Exalted Champions. I know people like the Lord, or some people like the Lord. I just worry that you're going to have one dragon get shot off the board. I think it depends on the meta. But you said this is for TSN. So I think I would recommend that you go double Exalted Champion. You are worse. You are objectively worse into specifically like leadership, which is a bit of a problem. A lot of stuff has the Mark of Undivided. Not necessarily your characters. We should probably go Nurgle on those. Wait, this isn't Heralds, is it? No, it's not Heralds. Perfect. But cannons are just omnipresent. So I'd really, really recommend going for the whatchamacallit. Going for the triple save on both of them. I like to go for the one with the Talisman of the Carrion Crow as not my general, because it theoretically does more damage, so I'm more likely to throw it into like an enemy dragon, but it doesn't matter much. You killed it last time, flanking you with Noblars. Huh. Flanking you with Noblars. Have we played in person? I haven't played. I'm just trying to think, because I don't have a... sorry. Not Noblars, right. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I haven't played Ogres. That's what was throwing me off. That's where I was like, when did I play Ogres at a tournament? Yes. Hobgoblins. Yes, I did. Love me some Hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are fantastic. There we go. No, I know who you are. That my brain... because you said Noblars, I was like, I don't remember when this was. I was going back to the start of the edition, really struggling. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I've gone through this before on stream. This time round, I'm going to change over to Exalted Champions. I'd really recommend it. I think here in the UK, it's just the safer choice. There's so much shooting. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just my brain turned off for a second. I don't like a Shartak. If you're going for a unit, I would say don't take the Shartak, but I do like 3 Dragon Ogres in general. They're pretty solid. And if you've got the points for them, then yeah, you got to put something in. Hey, you're painting some sneaky gifts. Some would say sneaky gifts. I'd say the sneaky gifts are a gift. They are such a fantastic unit. They are one of my faves. One of my faves. If you're here and you haven't already, give the stream a thumbs up because it helps it get picked up by the algorithm. If you want to buy Warhammer in the UK for cheap, go to my link in the description to Element Games. There's a link down there for a discount on 3D miniatures for Beowulf miniatures, and I do coaching. Link in the description. I have really slacked on doing self-promotion, so I should probably chuck that in every now and then. completely open with everything after 3 dragons. I don't hate 3 dragon ogres, and I think the sort of stuff that you play into at TSN Arena, they're pretty solid. Like, you're more likely to see people just be like, I'm going to bring Bloodherd. You know, here's loads of Minotaurs. And you just be like, okay, let's match, you know, great weapons with great weapons, and then I'll hit you in the flank with some dragons. That works pretty well. Level 1 battle magic is the correct choice, so all the dragons are looking good. I would say this is good. This is really good, the Marauder Horsemen. You have given them ambush, haven't you? Nope, they should have ambush. So you don't have to start them off the board, but these units definitely want to have ambush. I wouldn't bother with the Carrion Crow, honestly. Because it's a leadership test, and you're only leadership 7, it's just not going to go off. It goes off just over half the time for +1 toughness, which is cool, but it's just not realistically going to happen all that often. Give them both throwing axes, so they can come, the turn they come on, they can do something, but otherwise, you know, yeah, that looks solid. And ambushes to keep the number of drops low, because if you're playing an aggressive Dragon Army, you want to have as low a number of drops as possible. The 1 unit of Vanguard Warhounds is really nice. I like the unit of Marauders. I would go, honestly, you've given them... no, let's give them Unnatural Fortitude. Let's go... We don't need to give them ambushes. They can keep close order. And we can give them the Monster Hunter Tapestry. Just generally going up to... I mean, do you need 30? I'd probably, honestly, also drop the Knights. I know Dark Hearts is solid, but I think you're not going to get that much value out of them. Whereas if you go for this setup of core... This would probably be something along the lines of what I'd look to run. You've got 1 unit that's just going to stand there and tank on an objective, which is good because you're getting strategic location points. Alternatively, it funnels the enemy towards you because you're going to have, you know, Marauders on the board, Warhounds on the board, Dragon Ogres on the board, and then 3 dragons. So your opponent has to, you know, what are they going to go towards to get points? It's probably the Marauders. They can, with Monster Hunter Tapestry, hang around for long enough. TSN does have more monsters than general meta, I would say. You know, there's a lot of sort of mid-table dragons, I feel like. And then the horsemen can flex, either start on the board or go into ambush if you need to lower drops or if you want to threaten baggage trains. Rob Luck plays maximum scoring, so this is just generally good to have as well. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. Dan says, if you haven't already, please like the video. Spot on. I, as always, love it when people remind me to do my job. And as always, because I naturally sound sarcastic, not at all sarcasm. HK subscribers launch merchandise. Yeah, that's something that Dice is the one I want to do. I am talking to someone about Dice. You know what? This is the list, I think. This looks good. I don't think this needs to be tweaked anymore. You could change the Dragon Ogres for a Giant Spawn and Nurgle for pretty much... I don't think there's any real difference in terms of like how much success you'll have. I think I might prefer the... I actually don't know. Maybe I prefer the Giant Spawn, just because they catch cannonballs a little bit better, but they're also unreliable, which is like good in some ways, and they've got first charge, which is nice. I think both are super fine, and it just comes down to which ones you want to run more than anything else. Is there an option for Ogres over Dragon Ogres for scoring at the TSN? Yeah, he is going to update the infantry pack. I haven't thought about that at all. It's going to completely change how lists their function. Rob's announced that soon all infantry will be able to score. That's something that I haven't internalized yet, so I'm not going to think about that too deeply here. Played the sneaky hits in one game so far. They came on, killed just enough minis to stop enemy unit from scoring, and they got immediately fireballed off the table. Still worth it at 60 points? Incredible. You lost 60 points from your list building, and they gained 60 points, and assuming they came on turn 2, they denied, like, 270 points worth of objective scoring, assuming that your opponent didn't then come back and do something with them. Yeah, I love that. Love that a lot. Drop the Knights and big up the Marauders. Yeah, I think so. I think Chaos Knights in general don't do a huge amount. They need some extra juice. I think if you're going to use them for anything, as a challenge buddy and with Dark Hearts is not a bad way to do it. But I think if you just keep it simple, if you just go, here's my Marauders, they hold the objective. Here's my Marauder Horsemen, they either ambush or they hold like flanking objectives or like threaten your baggage train or whatever. Here's my Dragon Ogres, they hit. And then here's my 3 dragons. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, what was I going to... I was in the middle of winding up to have a rant, and I can't remember what I was going to have a rant about. Which does mean it probably wasn't important. It definitely wasn't important. But DICE, that was it. Yeah, so I emailed dice.co.uk, which is seems to be like just a huge place to go for DICE. No response. I contacted, I think, 3 other DICE makers around this time last year. Something like that. Maybe a little bit earlier, actually. I think it was when when I'd been made redundant. I still had most of my redundancy payments. I was like, oh, this is a time to bulk upfront buy DICE. It's a good opportunity to do. I don't normally sit on, a couple of grand, so it's a good time to do it, and then hopefully I can turn that into some consistent income. And no one got back to me, which was a pain in the backside. So now I'm talking to someone who I do need to have a follow-up chat with, but they are in the process of installing or, getting the technology to do their own DICE, basically. There's somewhere along that line. But it's someone that I've worked with before who will not ignore my emails. So, that's good. So hopefully there will be DICE in the future. All right. Okie dokie. I did say that I was going to go with Dan's next, and then I see Thaddeus in chat, and we can get to you straight after that one. We can go Orcs and Goblins into Dwarves, which is, we went Orcs and Goblins into Elves before. We're hitting all of the narrative arcs here, doing a better job than Games Workshop in terms of lining things up narratively. I wouldn't have done End Times. I feel like that Simpsons meme when Marge just like slowly says something and the entire crowd cheers because it's such a generically easy, oh yes, no, praise me. I wouldn't have done the End Times. Not at all. I'd love to see a dwarf list to be competitive. Just if you go to Old World rankings and just filter to X-Force, that's where the competitive lists are. I'd love to see them doing well in terms of doing well with the more classic style of dwarves, because I think I'm tempted to play around with X-Force. I just really, really love thematically what classic dwarves are. Bit of artillery. Some units with guns, some units with melee stuff, like a classic fantasy unit. That's like a classic fantasy list. That's what I want to play with dwarves. You may be disappointed with my list. I think it needs Sarah's help. Not a problem at all. We'll have a look at it. All right, let's have a look here at the War of the Nomadics. My partner, hello. Watches my streams, or rather has them on in the background, and I just tabbed into WhatsApp to check if she'd messaged me, and she had. So we all say hello. Rune of double objective scoring. A rune of double objective scoring would be incredible. I don't think it really fixes the core problem with dwarves in that everything's fast and they are not, and they're very draw-like, and their artillery is bad. I don't know how we fix dwarves. Like, I think that's a long conversation to have, maybe with a guest, but we'll do that later on. Make people fight them, yeah. So some way, some sort of like just general units get the Rune of Dishonored. No, the opposite, Rune of Dishonored. If they live, you get points. Anyway, I don't know. We're going to talk about Nomadic War. What did Dan say? This is a Nomadic War list with lots of shamans. They could try taking Gaze of Gork, but I think Fist of Gork would be more fun. Hell yeah. Love that. Love that. Okay. So there's a big unit of Boar Boys. There's Wolf Riders, Wolf Chariots, pretty standard. More Boar Boys, a Chariot, and a Black Orc Chariot. All right. So, general. I think the most competitive Nomadic War list you could run would be to put your Orc war bosses on Wyverns. You don't have to do that. What's your feeling on having them on Wyverns? Would you rather have them on Chariots? Do you think, is that more in line with the theme you're going with? Because for only, 40 points difference, you get Fly and Swift Stride. You lose the impact hits, but you actually get to make it into combat, is the main thing. So we'll wait to see Dan's thoughts, and we'll have a look at the rest of the stuff. So level 4 War Magic, Lore Familiar, Power Scroll, Talisman of Protection. Huh. That's an odd combination of items on a war ball. So let's drop the Talisman of Protection. Because given that you're the fast list, obviously defenses are important to have, and you want to have them if possible, but you want to go fast and pick your fights. So we're gonna, like, given how limited the defensive items are for Orcs and Goblins in terms of ward saves, we're going to save the Lore Familiar, not the Lore Familiar, the whatchamacallit for. Okay, you had it on a Wyvern. Great. We're gonna go back to a Wyvern. We're gonna make the rest of it work. So we're gonna go to a Wyvern and we're gonna give it the Talisman of Protection that we just freed up, and we'll give him a regular shield here as well. I think we can also not worry about Ed Button Hat. Ed Button Hat was interesting at the point where you could kill the unit champion before you got into combat, but since you can't do that now, I think let's not worry about the Ed Button Hat, and let's just focus on getting as much stuff in there as well. Hello, Hobbiton Hold. What's the barrier to entry for submitting a list? So there is a Discord linked down below in the chat, and if you join there on Friday mornings, I put an announcement in the Fixed Minus channel. It's open for about 8 hours usually, and there is a selection process for who gets the list looked at. It basically goes channel members, non-channel members, and I prioritize people who haven't had their lists looked at the previous week. This week we have every list that didn't have someone who submitted their list last week, apart from one because they didn't upload the old world JSON file. But everyone else's list is on there, which is, sometimes it's a little harder to fit things in. This time around, it did pretty well. Okay, so then you've got a level 1 wizard with Chloe Green Amulet and Wild Magic. I need to reread the. Oh, it's a Wild Magic spell, isn't it? The Fist of Gork. Isn't it a template? You're right, that is fun. That is fun. Never mind, we're going to keep that. Being able to flex into the lasers is cool as well, if you ever want to try and win as opposed to just going for it. But I think, what's it cast on? Is it a 7 or is it an 8? It's an 8. I mean, you're casting at +2. Let's not worry about the power scrolls. When you're in a unit like that, I worry a little bit about the increased chance of miscast. And also when you've got so many wizards, I worry about that as well. If you were trying to cast something really, really important, so keeping the... this could be level 3. Keeping the Lore Familiar Power Scroll combo here. In fact, we can go for a second Power Scroll, honestly, on this model. I'm not opposed to that at all. Because then you can just get off Evil Sunshining on the turn that you want it to. We can get off, I guess... Bad Moon Rising. No, probably here we go. Here we go. Evil Sunshining, and then I don't know what else you want to pick. Yeah, we only need 3 spells here. That works out nicely. So you're busy. You're busy for 8 hours. That's impressive. You don't have a lunch break or anything like that? Okay, so we've got the big boss, Cow Spear Full Plate, BSB, Totem of Wrath, Warboard, Charm Shield. Yeah, honestly, that feels fine, I think. Odd Knob, level 3 Wizard, Giant Wolf to Think Orcs Hat, Elementalism. Yeah, this feels fine. Although... what are you trying to do with this? I guess you want to go... if I'm doing this, I think you also want to go Ruby Ring of Ruin, because you're running it round as a... you're going to try and... oh, where's the Ruby Ring of Ruin? Oh, it conflicts, doesn't it? Okay, that's why I couldn't see it. All right, well, we'll give it the effigy of... Idol of Gork for rerolling the cast, because this is going to be giving you the ability to hunt down things with Itchy Nuisance, and we'll also go for a 4th spell as well, if we can fit that in. Level 4 for Vindictive Glare, but yeah, if you're hanging around to cast Vindictive Glare, you probably want to be doing something else. Okay, so with 36 points over, we can drop a Power Scroll. I don't really want to drop 2. Maybe we just can't fit level 4 on there. Maybe we can't fit level 4 on. It would be nice, but I guess we're just going to have to drop a power scroll and back down to level 3. And that is what it is. Cool. Right. Ball boys, you've got 15. I really like an Obsidian Lodestone. I know you've got the Glowy Green Amulet. The Glowy Green Amulet breaks. So instead of just risking it, if you make it so that less spells hit you, it's the double whammy. So then, let's say you're playing against Vile Tide. Instead of them just going, I'll hit you with 4 Vile Tides, with the one that matters being the last one, and you have to think about whether you want to dispel it, you're going, okay, I'll try and hit you with 4 Vile Tides, but now the number is +1, so my 3 level 1s have to get a 10 equivalent, even though they've got +3. Becomes a little bit harder. Anyway, all this is good. Cavalry Spears, Heavy Armor, Shields, Big Guns, Vanguard. I'm on the fence about Vanguard. Honestly, I'm not sure. I thought you were over Ring. I am, but then I keep forgetting the Siren Call of 2d6 strength 4 hits is so sweet. And if you're going to use it at all, it is on a unit that's around the flank, but you're probably right. I should probably just give up on it. It's probably not worth... The juice probably just isn't worth the squeeze. Still want it, though. Because this isn't even guaranteed a magic missile. That's kind of the problem that I have with it. 50% of your games, you're going to be running around and be like, I cast Itchy Nuisance and not much else. I have Flaming Sword. Oh, yeah. What about the item that bounces spells? Yeah. You're fishing for undeserved sympathy by distorting the facts. That's fair. That's fair. I respect that. You know, I respect that it is more difficult than people here in the UK to get your list submitted in the window. I do respect that it can be more difficult. You're busy at work when you notice the submissions are live. Fair. I mostly wanted to make sure that there wasn't some like massive glaring flaw in the system. I've just turned off. No. Were they heavy armor before? They should be heavy armor. I think they were. I think I just knocked it. Okay, so then we've got the Wolf Riders. You've got 2 with the Preserve move, with Cav Spears. You haven't even given them bows, but honestly fair, because they're just kind of terrible. The ones that can't... No, I think this is just fine. You've got... How many have got Ambush? This one's got Ambush. This one's got Ambush. This one hasn't. Okay, that's fine. Wolf Chariots, Ball Boys. Again with the Vanguard. Like, it's probably fine, but it just makes it easier for people to park stuff in front of you, which does worry me a little bit. Let's go for Obsidian Lodestone on this one as well. Banner of Butchery. What did you go for this one? Bracketed Flag? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Chariot. I think this looks just all okay, honestly. So I think all I'd do is I'd tweak the numbers down. It's just going to be difficult to do. I do like musicians on these units as well, because if anything's going to run away, it's probably Goblin Wolf Riders. So something like this, I think, would be the way that I'd tweak it. But yeah, I love the idea of all of the cavalry lists that exist. The problem is they don't play super well into the way that the game is set up at the moment. What do you mean my message is too long? All right, I'm going to have to submit it as a list then. Dan. Well, that'll have to do. Okay. Let's have a look at Thaddeus' list. So, Thaddeus had some context on Discord. Let me scroll up and have a look at that one before we get into too much here. Okay. Trying to figure out Expeditionary Force at 1,500 points. Trying to revolve around the 2 infantry bricks and keep the sapper nearby to force extra wounds. The units are bigger, so I can keep enough of them alive to hold objectives, I guess. Not sure if 6 euros here is enough to mana. Might be too few to apply pressure. I'm also not sure if no war machines is right. Would love some feedback on how X-Force is supposed to play competitively to fix this. This is interesting, because at 1,500 points, I think you have to put in some... You're welcome, Dan. I think you have to make some difficult decisions, honestly. I definitely wouldn't go Warriors. Would I go Warriors? 308 points for 23 of them. Rune of Battle, Rune of Courage. I think I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't go for the Warriors. I think it's range Thunderers and Rangers, or maybe we just go for one unit. Maybe that's the way that we go. Okay. So in terms of X Force, we're definitely running Burlock Daminson. Burlock Daminson, who was the other general. Okay. So Burlock Daminson gives rangefinder optics, so you ignore long range on your shooting, and it gives you reroll ones to hit, which is just like makes the Thunderers actually do something. So if you're running the Big Brick of Thunderers, he's in my mind pretty much a non-negotiable for the list. And if you're running him, suddenly making the sappers a little bit better feels a lot more useful in my mind. So I'm gonna tweak pretty heavily. I'm gonna change this engineer. There is an argument that the Thane isn't the battle standard bearer, because then you can get the Thane out of the unit and run it around and not be as worried. But I think let's just go Grugny, Battle, and Courage is probably the three that I generally go for on this. And I'm also going to say let's put them on shield bearers. I know that makes them take up more space, but I really don't want the BSB to die, which is something that worries me about the engineer. Even with the sapper like buff, if you're 5 wounds, additionally, the shield bearers adds an extra attack. It's only 1 attack because they're not 3 models counting as 1, but it adds an extra attack through the sapper, so you don't actually lose out, even though it's 2 models wide. Okay, so Thane with handgun, shield, all of that good stuff. Okay, so we've got the Burlock Daminson, we've got the Thane. Both of these are good, and the Thane really benefits from the reroll ones to hit as well. Although it doesn't care about the ignore long range penalties. That's kind of surplus to requirements. I think I would probably let's build around 1 unit of Thunderers. I don't know if this is correct, but I think at 1,500 points, I'm a lot more tempted to build around 1 unit of Thunderers that just does a job really well, and then the rest of it's denial, and you're like trying to take people off the points that they have. Where this falls down is if you're playing on like really, really dense terrain, especially around the center of the board, where your opponent can just stand on points and doesn't have to worry. But I think this should work out. So I would say handgun, and give both of them accuracy rapid fire. So you're making 2 shots. You're hitting on 2s because you're ballistic skill 5 because of accuracy. Obviously, you can't have duplicates, so one of them has to also have the I guess it's just enchanted rune. Like, it's the 5-point rune you throw in there just to mix things, not to mix things up, just to make it have it in line with everything else. You can't have shields, so let's give them both great weapons. We're really gonna have to squeeze points here. How are we doing that? So we're 16 points over. We've got the Runesmith with the shield, Rune of Spell Breaking, full plate, great weapon. I think we can get away with shaving 3 points here, but does that help us at all? I'm a big believer in the Rune of Courage. Is it the Rune of Battle? Do we just lose the Rune of Battle? But we want the combat res. It is smaller points level, though, and you have to make cuts somewhere. I think out of everything here that I'm willing to lose, I think the Rune of Battle for +1 CR is probably the thing I'm most likely to be willing to drop, because then you can still, you still just get an incredible stand and shoot, right? Drop the spell breaking. Spell breaking so good. I would never drop spell breaking. Would there be room for 2 Thanes? Not at 1,500 points, I don't think. Seen list cut Runesmith and run a Master Rune of Calm on a Sapper instead. I could see that. I think just the MR that you get here and the ability to dispel multiple spells, it's too valuable. And Rune of Spell Breaking, just like there's going to be a spell that's like the turn that the Viletide unit comes close enough, and you're like, all right, cool. Hagtree Fetish Viletide, you're not going off. Or Monkey King's Wisdom, probably Sword of Reason, Spectral Doppelganger, not going off. It's really nice. I'd love a second Rune of Spell Breaking, but there's no way we're going to fit it in. Yeah, so this is a lot of characters that's all going into 1 unit, but I think it's worthwhile. I've gone double Sapper because you don't ever want to fail that leadership test. And also, it actually buffs up the volume of shooting from the list pretty significantly. So the Thunderers are generally 1 shot each, front rank only, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, which is what, like 56% of the time, something like that. And then you've got the Sappers, which is 2 shots. So you're getting like roughly 0.56 hits from the Thunderers per model, and then the Sappers are getting you like 1.82 ish hits. So they're between them about 5.5 times as many shots as you get from the same number of. That's not right. That's not how maths works. Anyway, they just do more shots, do more shoot. Anyway, if we're doubling down on one brick, I think this is good. You've also gone no cannons, which is maybe correct. It might be right. Honestly, like this is such a heavy points denial list that can reach out and touch things that I'm kind of on board with it. And I think maybe is it just like 2 regular copters with steam guns, and then we lose like a Thunderer to get there? Like, is this the list? Oh, you haven't got great weapons. Oh, I'd love great weapons. Because then because you can only make 1 attack per model, but the attacks you're making are like so much better. Well, not so much better, but they're, you know, you can hit on 4s, wound on 3s, or wound on 2s, depending on what it is. Do the Sappers get reroll 1 since they're in the unit? I believe so, yes. So that puts us pretty significantly over. I don't want to run a single copter. That doesn't feel useful to me. If we just 1 unit, great weapons, I like. Yeah. We are double and tripling down. Because you're also fighting in 2 ranks when you get charged. Because, I mean, we know you're not charging. That's not how this game works. Okay, let's say... Oh, I don't want to drop points too much, but... That's really awkward. That's really, really, really awkward. Is there any way we can drop 2 points? Because even though we're only 19 Thunderers, we also have 5 characters in there. So it's 24 models, which is taking up the space of 27 models. So you could go 9... You'd have to go 10 wide. You'd have to go 11 wide, actually. That's pretty beefy. It's pretty beefy. 22... Yeah, that's probably fine. Shield on the Runesmith. Yeah, screw it. That's a good shout. That's a good shout. We're going to live life on the edge, and we're going to go a unit of 2 steam guns. Yeah, I think this looks good. This is a good place to start. 1,500 points. 1,500 points is interesting. I'm struggling to imagine what the meta might be at 1,500 points. That's the thing that I'm not 100% sure on. It could be... Yeah, could be odd. Could be odd. Because you can only run 1 dragon. You can only run 1 Lord level character for most armies. It's for an RTT, I'm not sure what to expect. It sounds fun, honestly. Like, the more I play of Old World, the more I'm like, man, wouldn't it be nice if there was a points level where you just didn't see the same things? But I mean, that's just a little bit of staleness with the meta, as opposed to a criticism of the game design. Too much overall. 2 dragons. That's true. Well, no, because you're capped at 375 points. So I'm not sure. Like, you could run maybe very cheap moon dragons without upgrades. Question mark, question mark, question mark. This is just getting fully off topic here. What's the cheapest? It'd be Noble Moon Dragon 365. All right. You'd be better off with Sun Dragons. Which, to do Sun Dragons, you'd have to go... You may as well go Nobles if you're doing Sun Dragons, because Nobles can do the Sun Dragons. So you could go Blood of Calidor, Free Full Plate, Shield, Great Weapon. In fact, we're going to go for a Charmed Shield and Seed of Rebirth, and then Sun Dragon. 294 points. I think... Wait, can you run 3 of them? No. You could run 2. Honestly, these things might terrorize the meta at 1,500 points. Anyway, we're getting off track. We are getting off track. At 1500 points, the Warpfire Dragon is king. True. Although it isn't able to take battle magic, at least. It's not a level 1 wizard. So it's just running around and only being an honest dragon, as opposed to anything else. Okay. You are welcome, Phidias. Let's have a look at... You know what? There's a host of Taliesin list here. This is Selly's list. Square-based comp Taliesin. I know it's trash, but I'd love to take a Taliesin list to the next event. 1,500 points square-based comp, so 1,800 points in total. Very interesting. Very interesting. The question becomes, do infantry score? If infantry score, those Treekin, I think, feel pretty okay. If they don't score, I feel badly about them. But, what do we got? So we've got a unit here. I guess at 1,500 points, turning off stomps is less important. I was about to, like, reflex just go Monster Hunter Tapestry because it's an infantry unit, but I guess you probably don't have to do that. 15 Glade Guard with Arcane Bodkins. It gives you quick shot. I'm not really going to be moving them, but I guess it gives you close range standard shoot, which is something. 15 is an odd number. How many, if I'm ranked up, how many do I want? Maybe just 14. 2 rows of 7. And that way you still get 11 shots when you volley fire. It's not super important, but I'm going to just knock that down one for now. Yeah. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Wildwood Rangers obviously have a place in terms of killing stuff that causes fear, which might be more present because you can still run Death Stars, you just can't run dragons. So people might skew more towards stuff like Undead, where they will do a good job. I don't love the Ruby Ring of Ruin on them. They feel like a little bit of a confused unit because they don't score. I don't know that I'm a huge fan. Think about that one. Thought about making a Taliesin list. You might submit it next week. Maybe. I have to see whether, how many people submit. Okay, so you got a Glade Lord. Let's look at the characters. The characters at least make sense to me in terms of Taliesin. Taliesin is a backwards place. So Bedazzling Helm, Befuddlement, Mischief, and Aspect of the Bear. You definitely want at least a Charm Shield as well. And yes. Then we've got the second captain that's a BSB with no banner. Great Weapon, Shield, Meteoric Iron, Talisman of Protection, Blight of Terrors. I don't think Meteoric Iron is right if you're on a stag. Oh, no, you're on foot. Oh, you're on foot. You're on foot. Eternal Kindred. You're on foot. Blight of Terrors. Terror, I guess, gives you fear. So the Eternal Guard will cause fear. Sure. I don't think that helps though. Like I'm not actually convinced that that will do anything. Like in terms of what's going to worry them, it's going to be a lot of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. No standards anywhere. I'm not really sure what I want out of this. Like, if the fear is the important part, the terror is kind of whatever in my mind. I don't know how to make a Brick of Eternal Guard good. I don't think you can, but I don't know how you do it. What I do know is it isn't terror. If anything, it's elementalism. Like, that's the thing that comes to mind. But if you're 0 to 1 per 1,000 points... Okay, we're going to drop this captain. Because I don't think they're doing anything for you. Like, 100 points to do one shot is not a great value add. And then we're going to drop the Glade Lord, and we're going to put in a Spellsinger. The Spellsinger will be level 3. Elementalism with... I don't know that you need anything. We could make them the Eternal Kindred. I don't know that you need a BSB because you're not doing anything with it, but it does have. We'll come back to the kindred. We'll come back to the kindred. Maybe it's just bear, like for +1 toughness. Honestly, like I don't hate that in general. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. Lore Familiar Power Scrolls. That's how this is going to work. Lore Familiar Power Scrolls, like so, and then we'll also go Ariel's Favor. I don't know if there's anything we could give them. There's no armor that's good for this character, is there? In fact, yeah, we'll just rock it like so, and then Fuddlement and Mischiefs on this unit isn't awful in terms of being -1 initiative and all that jazz, but I don't know that it helps all that much. Just kind of watching me lose my mind slowly as I try to puzzle out how the hell you make Eternal Guard vaguely interesting. I've got an episode of a new series that I want to do. I don't want to commit to doing it weekly because it's a lot of work because I need to realistically play a game. But called I've mentioned it before on a Friday stream actually, Mediocre Mondays, where I take a unit that's bad and I try and work out how to make a list around them. The first one I'm starting off with is Swordmasters, but then I'm going to spin a wheel after that point. But this is how I feel when I was recording the first part of that. Yeah. Okay, so the Captain BSB, and then we've got the Spellweaver with Elementalism. Okay. I mean, if we're doing it, let's go Befuddlement Mischiefs, and let's at least buff them up. And let's go, even with, like, surely people just run around on lower level mounts, right? So we're going to give them the Banner of the Monster Hunter Tapestry, and we'll give them the Banner of Swirling Winds as well. Like, it feels, oh no, you've put it on the Wildwood Rangers. You've put it on the Wildwood Rangers. Okay. We could go Morning Chill, but I don't think Swirling Mist is good enough, right? It's Mark and Nurgle for shooting. That's just not. Probably not enough, unless we're also stacking other modifiers on there. So we've got these two. Then you've got the Eternal Guard, who I think will do nothing, but I just don't know how to. I don't know how to make them work. I'm gonna lose my mind. The Glade Guard, who are doing the thing that they're doing. Wildwood Rangers that are doing the thing they're doing. The Tree King, I don't think the Tree King have a place either. I think I want to put Stags in, but the Stags, can a Warden be a BSB? Warden can be a BSB. Okay, we're going to make it a Warden because the Warden comes with more attacks, and you can still do great weapon stuff. So let's just go Talisman of Protection, Meteor Archion. You can't do Eternal Kindred, but that's okay because the Spellweaver can do the Eternal Kindred. Is it infantry only? Yeah, so that is legal. That works. Perfect. And then the Warden of Talisman is going to be the BSB, who is going to have. Was there anything on there? Nope. No. I don't think there was anything. I think I'd kind of just sat going no, which means probably War Banner is the best place to go here. And then let's go a couple of cheap stack cap characters, I think maybe is the way to do it. Give you a little bit of, oomph. Give them a Charm Shield as well. I mean, you have to really play around with terrain. But I guess this is going to be more useful than what you had. I'm not in love with this idea either, but I don't really know what else we can go with. Like there's not anything here that sparks joy with Host of Taliesin. I think Dryads plus Dragons, Rebecca's list, Host of Taliesin is the way that I've seen things work. I guess that's the best that I can offer in terms of that in general. Eternal Guard, Captain can take Arch Lightning Rod. Fair. I'm not going to do that because it's 1,500 points, but I guess maybe that's something that they can do at full points that makes them vaguely interesting. I don't know what else to put in. I think, is it just Deepwood Scouts? You just take, like, I mean, you can't even fit that many in. I mean, is it just, like, this or something like that? I'm not sold on this, Sally, if you watch this back, but this is about as good, I think, as I can make this. I don't know where to take the concept. Like, there's no direct line of power to build through. That's the problem. Like, normally you can look at something and be like, okay, this is the list with the Death Star. We're going to put points into the Death Star. This is the list with the dragons. We're going to funnel points into the dragons. We're going to do other things. In the way that Old World plays, just having lots of mediocre stuff doesn't really work. You kind of need to have something that does something. And I feel like Host of Taliesin doesn't do that. That's not a fault of your list. That's just a fault of the faction overall. So it's really difficult to tweak, for sure. All right. Let's have a look at the third Orcs and Goblins list, which is just with oh, there is one foul in there, but it's right towards the end. They're Nomadic War. I can't bring a Black Orc War Boss because I need the Boars and Core. The classic Nomadic War problem. Boar War Boss, BSB, and level 2 all go in the big unit. Wolves probably ambush. Frenzy Boars to get shot / early pressure. Chariots are to go on flanks. Bait up the Wyvern if it gets clogged. Cake Nick. Yeah, I love Cake Nick. I only didn't suggest Cake Nick for Dan's list because Dan was doing something with like as many points as possible in Wizards, basically. But Cake Nick is great and I would recommend in general for going in. Okay. Unfortunately, you can't run any Black Orc chariots because you have to run Black Orc characters to unlock them. They still have where is it? Maybe it's a rule under the faction instead of being a rule on the model. Oh, this one doesn't work. This one I have to manually go to. Okay. Is it just the normal Black Orc rule that I'm thinking of? Your turn. You can always take them as rare. There is a rule on Black Orc models that says to take Black Orc models in general, you have to just have characters. Maybe it's in Ravening Hordes. Let's just go back to zoom out a little bit. Black Orcs. Is it in the army composition list? I know there's something. Is it on? It must be on the Black Orc. Nah, it must be on the Black Orc unit. It's here somewhere. It's called the Boys. Ah, yeah, it's called the Boys. And is it on here as well? Huh. It's not. Can you just run them? Am I just being stupid? If you take a Black Orc character, you have to take a chariot, but you might not have to do the other way around. Interesting. Where's the Boys? That'll be in the special rules right towards the back end. You should know this is a Chaos Dwarf player. You just have to run them. Like, if you're running the infantry, you have to run a character and vice versa. You don't get to run the chariots outside of Nomadic War, which is why it hasn't come up in my life for a while. One Black Orc boss for each Black Orc mob. No, this is very specific here. There must be a rule that tweaks it for Nomadic War, because that wouldn't work. You literally can't run a Black Orc mob. That's Trollhorde. I'm looking in the wrong place. Big smarts. Ah, there we go. The bosses are not subjected to Boys or Quell Impetuosity special rule. All right, cool. So you can just run them solo. Sweet. That was more effort than it should have been, but we got him. You could also just run Black Orc characters unsupported. Not in this list specifically, but just yeah. Cool. All right, sweet. Let's actually go back to it. So Caithness is great. Caithness is just generally good in the list. Chariots are fine. Wolves are fine. With ambushes. Thinking Orc's Hat, Big Red Raggedy Flag. I don't think Big Red Raggedy Flags... Like, I know people run it. But you go from weapon skill 3 to weapon skill 4. Like, how important is that? I guess it buffs up the characters that are in there as well, but... I'm just generally kind of on it. They have so many good banners, though. Boars, both of them with Frenzy. Oof. Double Frenzy. They're pretty cheap, I guess. And the Boar Chariot. And then the Black Orcs. With standards. I'm not sold that I'd take the standards on them, because I think that makes them very enticing to charge and kill. Like, if you take off the standards, it's only 134 points. But if you put the standards on, it's 194 points to kill in combat. Like, if you've got 2 of those and I've got dragons, I'm just going to chase, get 400 points between the 2 of them very quickly. Evening Knots Collector. Yeah, I think I'd take the standard off there. I'd run it on like a BSB, on a Black Orc Chariot, for sure. But I think here, I'd say... maybe not. Okay. Okie dokie. In terms of the units, you've got level 2 with Glowy Green Amulet and Battle Magic. I guess you're hoping for... You're hoping for Oaken Shield? I think I just want a wizard that guarantees me Oaken Shield. I think that's too important to not get. Because they're just not... They're not... Yeah. So let's go... Warboss. Wait, why? What's the cap? Because I know you can take multiple characters. You can take the Black Orcs. They're specifically capped in the unit. Yeah, okay. There we go. That's the thing that I was missing. So I guess... maybe it is just the weird... oops. Because you've got 2 Warbosses. I mean... you've got the Color Zorgi. You still just die to a... you still just die to a dragon. So I don't know that having this Warboss actually makes any difference. I think it just has to be Weird Knob. Weird Knob Lore Familiar with Power Scroll. And then you can put the Glowy Green on them as well. Like so. And obviously they're on a board there. Yeah. That makes more sense. Zorga's more for the unit. To defend the unit, I'd be more looking for just Monster Hunter Tapestry, I think. Because the amount of attacks that are going to come into you from a dragon. You've got Big Red Raggedy Flag and Zorga, which makes the dragon will only hit you on 4s, but then you'll still get stomped to death, and I don't think that helps. Okay, so the BSB, we'll go through this line by line. We'll work out what we're doing. Always a Charm Shield. In that case, I challenge. Sure, but if you challenge, the -1 to hit doesn't matter. So like the Collar of Zorg is not doing anything because it's not changing how anything works realistically. Hoping for Oaken Shield, wanted maybe an Evil Sunshine if I went war. Oh, on the wizard, yeah. I think you take the Lore Familiar and you go for Arcane Urgency and you go for Oaken Shield and then you go for another spell. Hammer Hand probably. So like what I would be doing here is, can you put that Thinking Oak's hat on someone else? Who else would fit in? Oh yeah, let's put it on the BSB. That works out nicely. And then on the Boar Boys, just go for a Charmed Shield. That's going to do, like, for 5 points, that will potentially mitigate 1 point of combat res. The big thing with Charmed Shield, don't just mindlessly throw it out. Make sure that you're using it, like, if you are in a challenge with a Lord and a Dragon, and the Lord does 1 wound to you through your saves, don't then take the Charm Shield just for the sake of rolling the dice. That's something that I see people do against me pretty regularly. Hey, how's it going, Amy? Your biggest enemies, monsters. Love the small boy. So, yeah. I think dragons just run this list over, unfortunately, and I don't know how you overcome that because between the frenzy and then like I guess the chariots aren't worth 200 points anymore. But I think this list just really struggles into monsters. War boss. We can make this the war boss. You've got trolley trousers, and we may as well do it properly. Let's give them the talisman of protection. There we go. Give them a regular shield as well, because you may as well take all the saves you can get. War boss, BSB, Banner of Butchery, and Big Red Regular. I'm just really not sold. I don't know. Lots of people take Big Red. I'd like Monster Hunter Tapestry more than anything else, but you know, with bosses to type a dragon in my mind. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. It's a little bit unfortunate depending on which one you go in that you're only weapon skill 6. Like the Black Orc boss does it a little bit better, but it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world there. Cakenik's obviously good. We've got the wizard. That's good. And then here, ambushes. I'd give them reserve move as well. I think reserve move is really nice to have because you can come in and then still move twice, basically. So you can move 18 inches onto the board, even without anything else. Thank you, Amy. Is my headset off, or am I? No, my headset was on. Why is the audio not playing? Impacts from a block to maybe get the combat res win when the weapon is stuck. Impact hits don't go into a challenge, unfortunately, because remember that the challenge continues. They don't just supersede the challenge. Got to add reserve move to that to steal baggage trains. Unfortunately, you can't reserve move to steal a baggage train, which is a real shame, because you have to move into it in your remaining moves phase, and reserve move is obviously not in the remaining moves phase. Okay, where was I at? I'm getting myself distracted. Let's go back to the list here. So, people wouldn't bother challenging this one. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I always make 2 or 2, but you know, I guess that's true. Not everyone's going to. Okay, so I guess we just go for one more model to get us up to a legal amount of models there. Boys, chariot, and then honestly, maybe it's just like another chariot. Maybe that. Oh no, there's not enough points, is there? I'm not opposed to. Oh, we cut a melee character. I'm not opposed to just having like a big boss in there with It's another source of war. Great weapon. It's a little bit pricey. We're 16 points over. We've only got 12 in core. I don't think I want to drop anything. Honestly, these units want to be not with a boss because you get the +1 attack, but you don't want to get challenged out. You may as well just go in with all of the attacks, which frees up a few points. Oh, it frees up the correct number of points. 8 points for a boss there. That's a lot. I guess you're getting leadership and an attack, but still. Yeah. Honestly, I could see Vanguard on these. We'd have to get core to exactly 8 points missing. There's no way I could do this. Okay, we're not going to mess around. You can consider the Vanguard upgrade for the ball boys because you can't charge on the turn that you Vanguard. So I guess it just lets you get up the board a little bit more aggressively without being frenzy baited because you can't charge turn 1. So if your opponent goes first, they can't bait you as easily. But yeah, I think these are the tweaks that I'd make in terms of just like the big boss is there to soak more challenges and also to just go in and do more damage. Like on the charge, you've got 4 attacks. It's going to be what, strength 7, weapon skill 6. So you've got two pretty punchy characters there. I like that. You could go cavalry spear. I think I like great weapon. Just gives you a little bit more grind potential as well, instead of just like after things go wrong, where you just sort of stood there forever and you're like, man, I wish I had literally anything else. Now you've got the ability to do a little bit more A little bit more oomph in long, drawn-out combats. Can you find a few points for the Charm Shield on the cheap Miller character? It's hard to do. You theoretically could, if you wanted to tweak things around. You could like drop some points in core for the Charm Shield, which would not be a bad place to put points for sure. And it would help in terms of like theoretically reducing the amount of combat res coming back in. But the problem is actually finding those points is a little difficult. When everything is quite expensive, making the cuts is difficult to do. I wouldn't want to drop the Musician, for example, on Wolf Riders. I think it's good. But maybe since they're only Leadership 5 without a unit champion, maybe we just say screw it. You know, if they flee, they flee. Maybe that's the answer there. Maybe that is the answer indeed. Lots to play around with, I think. Again, I really hope that at some point the game changes so that things are less fast, cavalry have a place compared to, you know, all of the other things, and we go from there. Perfect. Okay, apologies, Amy. I've managed to fix TTS, so it should play. Let me replay that one.
No Remember, Welsh. Lovely people, Ed also does coaching.
Definitely, not just replaying that one to plug my coaching. Yeah, it's gone a little bit quiet on the coaching front, but I assume it'll pick back up when we get the FAQ. That's what happened in January. Seems to be a bit circular, which is fairly understandable. All right, let's have a look at Amy's list. So Amy is here to torture me. We have a session literally tomorrow, so I wouldn't be surprised if part of our 3-hour call is to have the discussion about this, but let's make a decent attempt at tweaking this one. So the limitations: you've sold off all the spare miniatures. The roster is now everything I own and is being painted. You've got to get to 2,000 points. You're playing Renegades for local play. You've swapped to von Karnstein and would love the ring if it was possible. Okay. Hard. So, that's a lot of points too many in rare. We have previously talked about this list in terms of, like, was it larger points formats? No, maybe we've just talked about the list in general. But, yeah, so in terms of tweaking the list, in terms of what we cut, there are some hard decisions to make. The first is going to be, I'm not even going to think about everything else. To get down below the 500 points of core, I think we have to drop a Vargulf and also drop the Vargeists down to, I guess, a unit of 5 and 1 Vargulf. That's where we're going to start. We can come back and work out if we need to cut any more, but just to at least get on the same page for 2,000 points, we've got to get below 500 points worth of rare. Let's see what else we've got. This is a full Strigoi themed list in terms of the models, I believe. But you've got so much here. Is there a world where you can fit 2 monsters and then also keep the infantry cheap? I think maybe there is. Maybe there's a world that we can get this to running double smash monster. Maybe that's the way that we make this vampire count list function, because that's probably the points of power that we can play around. If we're doing that, I think the first place we start is we definitely take off the Meteor Hammer. Meteor Hammer on 4 attacks that's strength 5 already, I think is just not worthwhile. Like, you can put a great weapon on, and you didn't even have a shield on there. Obviously, I think the intention was to have a shield if you had the points, although it was 499. In terms of the output of this thing, into every target in the game, outside of like 3 units that are T7, you'll be wounding on 3s. Most things you're going to wound on better than 3s, and like AP3 versus AP2, but you've got you're winning on 2s instead of 3s into most things. I think I'd rather just have the Great Weapon. Even if their points were the same, I'd be very tempted to go for just the Great Weapon. Level 1 Wizard Illusion is good. Crown of the Damned is fine because there's going to be a Vampire Thrall flying around behind them. Somehow we're going to have to make that work. Let's just drop this Acolyte because I think the Acolyte probably has to go. And then we work out how the hell we squeeze 97 points out of this. The BSB is important because the Vampire count, even Leadership 9 for Renegades, does need a reroll on the Stupidity. So we've got the Thrall, who's flying around with Meteoric Eye and Charmed Shield, Flying Horror. I think we have to shave some points. I think, for a start, we just go full plate and the Charmed Shield. And that gets us to a 3-up save, and it saves us 11 points. We're already making savings. This is, I assume, how it feels to run a budget as a government. Like, what can we cut? Well, these things are going to be terrible, and this poor Vampire Thrall is going to get cannoned, but, you know, we do the best we can. We're definitely also going to have to drop some points from the other Vampire count. Has anyone here ever seen a double Vampire counts list? I haven't. This is a new experience for me. We definitely have to shave a lot of points. We still have to shave 86 points. Horrifying. Horrifying. How do we get there? How do we get there indeed? I'm assuming this is meant to be illusion. No, but I want to. Well, you're looking at it. You are looking at it. We definitely drop the Lord of the Night, because that's... Rezzing all of this stuff here in core is nice, but, you know, it just is what it is. As in, and when I say it is what it is, it's completely unfeasible. Okay. Talisman Protection, Lawful Mode, Power Scroll. We probably have to drop the Power Scroll, which is already a bad start, because Spectral Doppelganger is so important. With 51 points too many. With 51 points too many. Oh, boy. Okay. Maybe we have to drop the level 1 casting here, which puts us at 21 points too many. What the hell can we drop? Like, what can we drop to get here? I really don't want to do it, but we might have to drop down to a level 2 wizard, which seems disgustingly bad, frankly. It's the only way I can describe it. It seems vomit-inducing. If we're assuming... Okay, so this is not good, but to make this work, we're going Nightmare. The Nightmare does get us to a 2-up save. Amy and I have had a conversation about this thing already, in terms of... yeah, in terms of getting it to work, having it fly and being able to get over the top of like the unit that it's flying around with makes a big difference. I think we're just going to have to, like, we're trying to save as many points as possible. So this is just going to have to do. We might have to drop the Great Weapon as well. 30 points too many. This is so sad. I think we have to drop the level 1 wizard for the Vampire count. Is it a monster? Can it be a 2+ save? The Thrall, a Nightmare is just the name for the horse. So that one's okay. Then we're 2 points too many. I think we drop the shield. Oh, I hate everything I've done there. So it's only a 4-up save. Does Val change vamps by making vamps less expensive? Hopefully the vampires become a lot more worthwhile to take. Because right now, they really don't feel like they are. But maybe this is the way to do it. Maybe this is the answer. I know there's a theming here, which is why I haven't replaced the Vampire Thrall with a white. Because I think you could just go white, BSB, and... let's see, somewhere. Flying Carpet, Charmed Shield. That's 110, so we can shave... We can shave 24 more points, which almost gets us back to having... almost gets us back to being a level 1 on the Vampire count. The zombie dragon. They're both vampire cats. What am I talking about? Yeah. That still doesn't work. That still doesn't work. Okay. Cool. All right. I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about this at length tomorrow, so I'm not too worried about making it the most correct version, but having a starting point for us to work through would be good. So, double vampires with a BSB that can fly around behind them for leadership stuff is actually not terrible. There's no rezzing at all, which sucks. But yeah, that's a problem for future, I guess. Core, we need to get down to pretty close to the actual core, and the Felbats, I think, if we drop one Vargeist here, we can then afford to go, 4 Vargeist, 1 Vargulf, 2 units of bats, and we just need to tweak the core down to a legal amount. We need to drop 107 points, which means we can go down to 600 and... It's too late. It's too late, my maths. My maths brain ain't mathing. Okay, so bat swarms. So 2 units down to 6, I guess, is the way that we do things here. And then we've got 10 points, so this can go back up to 6. They can go to 6. Amy, this is where we're leaving it for now, and then tomorrow you can explain to me why I've made terrible decisions, and then I will think about it, and I will agree with you. But hopefully this is a good starting point for tomorrow, and we can work through there. Perfect. Okay. And that brings us to, there is one last list, which is Jorkif's Tomb Kings. This one, I think, needed context. More context than it was given. So, the notes on this one, Jorkif says, we're working around the idea of building a Tomb King list specifically designed to play against other Tomb Kings and also vampires. It's 2,000 points, but then there's also 40 Tomb Guard, which is above 500 points. So, like, is it not match play guide? I'm not really sure what the theming of this list is or what the restrictions are on this list. What I would say, though, is just the Tomb Guard list in general would be how I would go. Like, 3 Ushabti will do absolutely nothing into Undead. Ushabti is something that you want to take with the bows. They're something that you want to take in greater numbers, but they are completely worthless into Undead because you don't have enough to one-shot anything, and there's not really much of anything to one-shot in the Undead Mirror, so they'll just get healed back up, so we can drop those pretty comfortably. Tomb Scorpions are great, in general. Casket of Souls, I don't think there's any purpose to running a Casket of Souls. The reason being, you're going to move out of the lighter protection, realistically. That's where that's going to go. So if we drop this down to a legal-sized unit, instead of drilled is really important on them as well. Banner wise, you've gone Banner of the Desert Winds, which makes sense, but then you've gone on the BSB a War Banner. I think basically the answer is just that you go for the Tomb Guard list, right? And you've got a dragon character here, so I think the theming that we go with is I just tweak this to be a list that runs Tomb Guard in the way that is being run in a meta way. I'm assuming you just haven't come across this list, which is why it's a bit more of an eclectic stuff. If I looked at the whip painting pictures, he wouldn't be so heartless about dropping Vargulf. They look so good. All of Amy's stuff looks good, so I don't feel guilty about dropping any of it because it's just going to be replaced with other models that are good. Nailed it. Icon of Rakaf. Icon of Rakaf is really good. It's where a lot of the maneuverability of the list comes from. It gives you a reform at any point in the movement. Remember, with reserve move, you move twice. This works for overruns. You name it. It's good. The High Priest. You don't want to go. In my mind, I don't think you get much value out of Necromancy. I also don't think you get much value out of a high-level wizard, realistically. It's probably just a couple of level 1 mortuary priests. Make one of them the Hierophant. And then you also need to have a Tomb Prince in the unit, because the Tomb Prince is providing the My Will Be Done. So it's the plus movement to get where you need to go, and then plus weapon skill the rest of the time. Generally, you don't need to give it any defenses, because you're going to bounce all the wounds to the Royal Herald. I would recommend in terms of the Herald, we're just going to give it like the very standard build here. We don't need... I mean, like, poison attacks is fine, but they're not necessary. The Blades of Justice are kind of whatever. You're not getting a huge amount of value out of them. And what else have you given them here? A Charmed Shield. We'll just give them this the standard build of the Talisman of Protection. Where's it gone? It's further up. Talisman of Protection and Armor of Meteoric Iron. So this is, because of the Chariot, you're up to 5 wounds, and you've got a triple save. So you can protect the Tomb Prince by bouncing all the wounds off it. The Chariot does go into the unit. That does work still. They can be targeted out by shooting, but with triple save, it's very hard to kill them. And the resin goes onto them first. And then the other thing that makes the unit tick is the Necrotect. Normally you'd go 3, but you've gone for a bit more of a pricey dragon with a Cackling Blade, which I don't hate. You need a little bit more punch than a normal unit for Tomb Kings, and you're playing into specifically undead, so Ethereal's a consideration, so I don't hate that at all. The main thing to remember is you're going to need magical attacks. So that's kind of where you're lacking with this list. So the way I would recommend doing that is we'll go for the Mortuary Priests, give them Burning Blades, and we'll give one of the Necrotects Burning Blade as well. And that's so if you get charged by Banshees, or if you get charged by Hex Wraiths, you can... With the extra attacks you get from the Necrotect, plus the reroll hits, yada yada, with the Burning Blade, you should be able to pick off all those ethereal attacks, all those ethereal models. Into the rest of the core, I don't think... Like, Skeleton Warriors are fine, but I don't think they add much to the list. Going for 1 unit to set on an objective is fine, but you would always want to have command on there. There's no reason not to run command on skeletons, because you need to tie people up with challenges and stuff, and the extra combat res. And I would pay for the armor as well. And if you're going for 1 unit, honestly, 20 for 125 points isn't bad. Yeah, I can live with that. Horse archers are good as well for scoring, but that's kind of by the by. And then other things that you can put in, I just put in double Necrosphinx. Like, if you're going for the Tomb King on Dragon, double Necrosphinx is really good pressure. So 2 Necrosphinxes plus the Tomb King all let you hunt down enemy models pretty nicely in terms of like putting pressure on and supporting the Tomb Guard brick, which is very good at cracking enemy Death Stars, Skeleton Warriors that can sound an objective, and then just all the characters to support it. I have massively tweaked the list, but I think what you had didn't do the job of what you were looking for. So hopefully this pushes it more in the direction of what you were hoping to do for your building against undead. Cool. All right. It's a good one. Wrapped up in 2 hours this time round. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Thanks all for coming and hanging out. It's nice to see that numbers have gone back up a bit now that I've been a bit more consistent with actually getting these Friday streams in. Apologies for missing last week. I was obviously doing Saffron Slam, but hopefully the 5 games of streaming picks that, were worthwhile in terms of number of hours available to watch. It's hard to justify for the amount of time and effort and cost to go down to do the weekend. So I think as it stands, my current plan is to go down and do the event in August, the one that I'm going to play in, but then I might not do any more streamed events. It's just, in terms of the costs, it's not worth doing. I made about 40 quid in terms of income for the streams. Yeah, I like doing them, and they're a lot of fun, but like I made about 40 quid and it cost me about 200 quid. So it's very hard to justify doing. Even if the numbers were better, like the first 2, I still was in the hole pretty significantly, but numbers were massively off a cliff. We'll reassess after the one that's happening in, I think it's August. I should know, I'm signed up to play it, but we'll see. I think middle of August. I didn't, advertise very heavily for what I was doing. I was worried that the streams weren't going to work, but yeah, now that I've had a run through with minimal tech issues, maybe this time round I will do some heavy advertising for the next one, and we'll see how we go. But yeah, we'll go from there. I am thinking about streaming events. There's TSN in a couple of weeks. I am not signed up for any events currently. I haven't got anything I particularly want to play right now. So taking a little bit of a break while I focus more on the channel and also personal life. I'm not opposed to playing if an event comes up, but it's just not something that I'm booked in to do at the moment currently. Yeah, anything else I've got a couple of ideas for things that I want to do. I've been thinking about doing some online RTTs that just play as if it was an in-person RTT. So starting at like 9 or 10 o'clock BST, and then running through 3-hour rounds, break for 30 minutes or whatever, break between rounds, and then come back. And I could stream those. That might be something that's interesting to do. Kind of fills the niche of streaming events, but without actively having to travel and do the event and lug all my equipment down as well. So I don't know, things to think about in the future. But yeah, that is that. And